Hi everyone, welcome to our Sunday edition of Cook With Me Sunday course. And I started by boiling the potatoes for the potato salad. I don't think I'm going to share that with you guys. I think we have made a lot of potato salad in this channel. And I prepped my butternut. It's boiling on the stove, and here I was just pat drying the beef, and I seasoned it with aromat, or you can season with salt if you prefer salt. I prefer the aromat. And then I added paprika onto there. I don't have a lot of spices at the present, so I'm just using what I have in my cupboard. And I added about 1.5 tablespoon of flour. This is what's going to thicken your sauce when you are actually, this is a stew, it's a simple stew, but you do need that thickener. You can either do this, or you can do the flour sledge, or what they call it. You mix flour with water and add to your stew to thicken it as it's cooking, or when it's ready to cook. After seasoning it and then coating it with the flour, then I proceeded on to heating my pan with oil, and then pan frying or browning or searing my meat before we can start making the stew. Try not to overcrowd it, but sometimes it needs a little bit of patience because having to wait. So I made an everyday seasoning a previous day, but unfortunately this vlog had to go first, so I'll share that with you guys on the next vlog. I added that I would say about a quarter cup, and then I added tomato paste onto there, and then stirred, and I cooked it simply without having to take it out of the pan like I did the shortcut way. But you can do it the normal way that you're supposed to cook your stew in, but I did it my way. It is Sunday after all. We were cooking a lot. Sunday is always a lot, so I did mix in my concentrated beef stock, liquid beef stock, with 500 mils of water. Added that onto the pan, stir that in, and then at this point we are going to let it simmer on low heat. We want it to be soft. And yeah, you can, if your seasoning is not where you want it to be, you can either add more salt or beef stock. In this case, I added beef stock onto the stew, and then I allowed it to cook on slow. My butternut is cooked, it's ready. I'm draining it, and then I'm going to let it sit on the counter on a colander on the counter for it to drain it further. And while that was going, I started on my onion, which I'm going to use to flavor my rice. Kara. And then I also started on my chakalaka. I've already cut the onions, and then now I'm cutting the green pepper. Whenever I find a pepper that has a mixture of color like this, it always makes me so happy. I love it. I don't know why I love it, but I like it a lot. I feel like it gives me best of both world, because there's a little bit of green, there's a little bit of red, and you'll see as the video goes, there was a part that was red. I cut it out, and it's going to be part of my bean salad. My onion was ready, and then I added that onto the rice. I also added about teaspoon of the chicken stock, and I also added what do we call aromat, and I also added a mixed herb onto there. I don't know, I could be wrong, but this mixed herb that I have, it tastes like it has a bit of mint in there. I don't like cooking with mint. That's just my preference. I prefer mint in drinks. I prefer mint in desserts and all of that. I just don't like mint in what do we call in my cooking. I don't know, unless the recipe calls for it, and I can't do the recipe without it. Yeah, maybe, but majority of the time I don't cook with it, so I'm not really enjoying them. And I bought a big pack of it when I was buying it, so I have to finish it. So I started melting the butter and the sugar for the butternut. While that was melting, I proceeded into mincing my garlic. I love making my butternut on the cast iron. For some reason, the cast iron is able to absorb the water, or to simmer down the water in the butternut or pumpkin, whichever that I am cooking, and I love it. And it never disappoints me, if I may put it that way. Whenever I cook my butternut or my pumpkin with the cast iron, it never disappoints me. So it has melted, and then it's ready for me to add the butternut in, and then we will mash it and let it simmer down for a little bit, and it will be ready. Lately, I'm enjoying the chakalaka that has been made with shredded carrots, although I do cut them a little bit. But I feel like they give me the texture that I want in my chakalaka. The carrots don't get overcooked because I do prefer my chakalaka still crunchy. I prefer it still crunchy. So I love that I can taste it, And this is my stew. It's done basically at this point. So I'm starting on my chakalaka, and then I added turmeric, and I also added paprika onto there, and I proceeded on to adding the onion onto the mix. I love toasting my spices, but they were getting burnt a little bit. I don't know, this pan always disappoints me, but I always find myself going for it. I don't know why. But yeah, I don't have enough pots, guys. I use what I have, and I'm that one person that doesn't make a fuss about other things. So we go with what we have. We don't make a fuss about things. So the garlic, those garlics, 4 cloves of garlic that I was mincing, it was for the chakalaka. I added it onto the onion mixture. Or whenever I'm cooking with this pan, I have to work fast. Otherwise, everything will get burnt. And I also don't want to cook my chakalaka on low, because then it will damage. Like, I don't know, it will draw the water out of the vegetables. I saw that happening on my mom's birthday, and her stoves are slow. So, for the first time ever in my life, I felt like I did not know how to cook chakalaka, because the stove was on low, and it was a lot, ne? Yeah, I added the pepper, the green pepper, and I'm also adding the tomato paste. The tomato paste, for me, it gives it that bit of a kick. I don't know if that makes sense. It gives it a kick, and I love it. I love the tanginess that it brings onto the chakalaka. And then you can see my carrots are shredded, but I did cut them a little bit. You can still see them long a little bit, which is what I prefer more than the grated one. And it's not as time consuming as the grated one, to be honest. And add salt onto your chakalaka, stir it in. I'm sharing this with you because I'm also keeping myself accountable to continue with the traditions of cooking 7 colors. Especially for me, it's not a tradition, but I'm starting it because growing up, this was not an every Sunday thing in my house. It was a once in a while thing. But because we are old now, we are in a better position, or we are in a better position than our parents were. I'm choosing to start traditions that will go to my generations and generations to come. So yeah, so I stirred the carrots in. Like I said, I don't like overcooking them. I want to still taste the crunchiness of it. Another thing that I try not to do is not to put a whole can of baked beans onto my chakalaka, because it always overpowers the chakalaka somehow. So I add bit by bit, see how it is, like how it looks, because I don't know, it gets somehow if the baked beans are a lot. So I add bit by bit, and I would say I added 3/4 of the can and left a quarter in there, and I was happy with how it turned out, and it was ready. This is it. The carrots are still visible. The baked beans are not a lot. Da 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 da. So now we are starting on my bean salad. This is my version. Don't come for me. And then I did add the red pepper that I told you about. I added the white beans, and I also added the red kidney beans, and I also added my everyday seasoning there, about two tablespoons. Added jalapeno chutney. If you don't have jalapeno chutney, you can add jalapeno. You can add a normal chutney or sweet chili. And I also added pickled cucumber. I did this as well. I'll share that with you in the next vlog that I'll be sharing the everyday seasoning. And then I added white wine vinegar. I also added aromat, or you can add salt. In the end, I ended up adding the chili flakes as well. I still felt like it needed that kick, that hotness. So I did add the chili flakes onto there. On this day, time just ran away from me. The plan was to start cooking at 2, but you will not believe me if I told you that I started cooking at 4. So I added Chinese chives. This was an afterthought. I felt like it was missing a bit of green since I didn't have fresh herbs. So I went with the Chinese chives. I had them in my fridge. So, and I was happy with the outcome. Fresh herbs, they are very important when you're cooking, but at the same time it's very stressful because they don't last. It's either you plant them or you buy them weekly, because after a couple of days in the fridge they'll start losing that freshness look. So this is it, and my dinner was ready. So we are plating up our dinner. I pan fried the broccoli that I blanched with you guys yesterday. I pan fried it in butter and salt. So I didn't think that was necessary for me to show you. I pan fried it and let it char a little bit, and dinner was ready. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will be motivated enough to cook your Sunday goals as well. And I will see you on my next upload. Bye.